friends. We've been making videos here on the channel for a little over 2 years now, and in that time, the question about our AI use has come up time and time again. I've tried to be transparent when folks ask about this stuff, but the longer we keep publishing videos, the more this feels necessary. You might notice that there are no ads in this video for the obvious reason that we shouldn't be making any kind of money off of just being transparent with you about stuff. My hope is that even if you're flustered to see AI used in development here, this'll still clear up the questions onto how that's used. My goal here has always been sponsor-free education that denies the hype cycle, but in that pursuit, there's been some confusion lately on just how AI is involved here on the channel. And then, of course, there's the problem of how we used to use AI, and also why I never check this specific box. So let's just get into it. First things first, for some, not checking this AI disclosure box is enough to get me some nasty comments. But I want to be clear that this isn't something we'll ever do here. Before anybody gets angry, let's just look at what YouTube is asking. Realistic depictions, people altered, or fabricated events passed off as reality, none of which this channel does. To pile onto that, breakdowns that we did on individuals like Foxmaster and his faux Lara Croft agent are the exact reason why just being cautious and using the label anyways can do more harm than good. I personally am uncomfortable with the idea of setting up false expectations by using those labels. We aren't required to, so we don't. In general, this channel gets away with what AI involvement we do have because it isn't falling into what YouTube's algorithm would classify as low-effort AI, something the platform is trying to cull, but to various degrees of success. Which brings me to how these videos are put together. On every layer, if it isn't created by hand in full, HITL comes into play. That's a term we use here often on the channel. It stands for human in the loop, or I guess goblin in the loop in this case. Anyways, HITL is a touchy subject for a lot of critics, myself included, because it can be used as a blanket statement to obfuscate things. An artist might use HITL to gather references and poses, but never traces, whereas another might use it to kinda kit bash some art together. In both cases, HITL was involved, but one is generally more accepted within the community than the other. So don't just take my word for it, okay? We're gonna do a whole video on HITL at some point to talk more about exactly these kinds of problems, but it's not like it isn't without its flaws and capability to deceive. My goal isn't to make you blindly agree with everything in this video, or really any video we make for that matter. It's to be transparent, present information, and ensure that you've got the knowledge to tackle this technology no matter what side of the fence you sit on. Alright, enough of the preamble and introduction. How exactly do we use AI? Let's start with what you're hearing. My voice is not AI generated, and the words I'm speaking aren't either. Admittedly, in the past, we did use AI to generate parts of the scripts, layered over some prompts and outlines. Being so real, I found this very frustrating and very time-consuming to edit after generating everything to ensure that it accurately reflected my viewpoints. It didn't impact the timeline for production by moving to something entirely handwritten, typed, or whatever, but it did alleviate all of my frustrations, and I'm hopeful that it raised the bar for quality here. It's also the same reason why, funny enough, we can't just hire a writer to deliver scripts on topics, and we did admittedly hire a few to try, but nothing really held a voice that I was confident carrying to you, so we never went forward with it. Every video during the writing process goes through 3 phases: the rough draft, the discussion, and the final draft. Those discussions don't just involve me, but typically happen with a group of qualified goblins hanging out in a smoking pit discussing the latest problems with artificial intelligence over a stiff drink. There are no exceptions here. If a video comes out these days, I write the script, I record the video, I sometimes consult with experts. These have always served as my opinion on these subjects, even when they're wrong, and even when they were filtered through a system. Now, this is where HITL kicks in. Let's talk about the avatars and animations here on the channel. They're generated by AI, yeah, but we do pay human artists to edit them. Sometimes this can mean minor corrections like fixing an earring, and other times larger overhauls like changing poses or expressions. This comes in addition to other work, like making purely human-generated sets of still frames for more specialized animations like our tippy-tappy animation. We aren't anti-artists here at all on the channel. It's actually just the opposite. Over the last 4 years I've been running TTI, our front end, we've been hiring artists off and on for all sorts of tasks, and I'm gonna keep doing that. But if I'm being super serial for just a second, getting an artist to redraw the PNG still frames here on the channel isn't as easy as it used to be. Because we've paid artists to do it before, back when there were like less than half a dozen gestures I could make, but they didn't get approval from some behind the scenes audience testing we did who still preferred the HITL avatars, which we're using today. With 30 plus still frames now in use, the task of finding an artist only grows in terms of cost, with a few estimates being tossed my way sitting in the $2,000 to $3,000 ballpark. It's not really something I can just drop without a ton of prep work. In all of our time here, we haven't even made $1,000 with this channel, and that isn't even factoring in any of the morality problems that a lot of artists will have with my project over the use of AI, period. We are incredibly lucky that the artists we work with are so very reasonable. So yeah, AI avatars, HITL is involved, but as you all have rightfully pointed out in the spring, this area needs more artist involvement to bring about genuine consistency. I couldn't agree more with this critique, and I'm gonna keep making improvements to these because these critiques are an opportunity for me to raise the bar of quality. Just bear with me on this one, okay? I promise. We've got some special stuff planned soon for the avatars. Next up, let's talk about thumbnails real quick. These actually get a bit more HITL heavy than the individual still frames. It usually involves 1 to 3 AI generated images, typically done separately but within the same thread, and then they're bashed together with impact font or speech bubbles on a black background. Is AI going to do this from start to finish for me? I guess, but will it look as good as it does when I take the time to layer on some HITL? Definitely not. The same process goes almost note for note on the intro animations, the chiptune opening, our outro animations, and a lot of other stuff on this channel. We could do it all by AI, but HITL makes it better. Before we can talk about anything else, we've got to address an elephant in the room, of which there have been many today. Subtitles are a funny thing. The editor can take a lot of time making them by hand, or they can pay a website to generate them. Alternatively, I can go ahead and make an algorithm to cut the corporate costs of generating a nice ass template and instead render the subtitles onto a blue screen and send the final file to our editors. And then, just like that, instant subtitles already synced to the video's audio. Never had to press a button or pay a dime for it. We've made a number of tools like this to help the editors, which can vary from simple algorithms to RPA to transcription agents using corporate models like Whisper. The way our still frame avatar is animated is not so different, though the program was one of the first I made. It was intended to replace another corporate product with a FOSS one. It's pretty simple. Generate subtitles for the audio, timestamp every sentence, then assess the individual emotion for each sentence using NLP, and lastly, render the appropriately labeled still frame to that sentence on top of a blue screen. The end result is a file where frames can be swapped out and replaced with a more appropriate one if a bad image is picked. For an editor to sit down and do this for every video is an absolute chore, but for us to turn it into a task that consists of simple rules and one button click, that's a win. That's more time for animations, citations, and everything that doesn't feel like busy work stringing avatars together. Regarding our editors, AI is an important piece on their side of the project as well. Sometimes that's AI-generated slides that the editors have to alter due to some kind of actual mistake. And it also, quite frankly, makes onboarding a lot easier for more complex topics. That way, no one's struggling to try and figure out how they might have to visually represent something that they didn't initially understand before listening to the script. This is where things start to wind down, though. We've gone from writing to recording to animating and editing. It's everything you need to make a video, and for the most part, AI is involved, but it's never been allowed to take the reins in this process. The same goes for the final piece of the puzzle where I find systems the most useful for video production, and that's not in the development of an individual video, but for curating the next one. This will look different depending on the day, but usually it starts with me searching for news stories, discussing one I found, or bringing up a topic I specifically want to make a video on. I then have the system gather a set of citations related to whatever we're discussing so that I can start my own deep dive on the subject. Let's use this scrap video as an example so that you can see exactly how this happens and where bad ideas are placed on the shelf until they can be refined or tossed in the trash altogether. I wanted to do an episode on digital psychosis, the idea that LLMs can mimic insanity and duress due to their caged state. I even knew the cases I wanted to use, so I had the system pull up links to each, offer us a bluff about how each of those cases might apply to our theory of digital psychosis. But the citations I was offered, which I investigate thoroughly for every video, showed that I was misidentifying a root cause that I had already covered in a previous video. Without an applicable case, the video falls apart pretty quickly, and it happened for each of the 3 instances that I had to work with. It's just a non-starter, and I'm not gonna ham-fist things into a video just because the term sounds snazzy. Instead, it's put into a folder with a dozen other video ideas that bide their time until they're relevant for display. That meant tossing the video about digital psychosis, yeah, but it also meant that our latest video on IPI has been lurking around for nearly as long as this channel existed, and we finally had a relevant reason to discuss it. AI helps me research in that it becomes a conversational partner for me to debate, to challenge my ideas, and to make sure that I can back them up. And it's also a judgment-free zone for me to ask some of the dumbest questions known to man and fae alike. For me, that's been invaluable. It's not a replacement for research, but it's something to harden what I would already be doing with a search algorithm alone. AI is a tool, one we use a lot here on the channel, and while it might be a hammer, we have come to embrace that not every problem is a nail. It has, in the past, been used as a crutch to compensate for my own shortcomings, and you all, quite frankly, didn't deserve that. You've been nothing but patient and offered me kind advice for improvements every step of the way. So I'll keep supporting humans where I can. I'll keep using AI and HITL where it's appropriate, and I'll probably never tick that specific disclosure notice the studio asks about so that I don't give off the wrong impression on capabilities. I know this doesn't work for everyone, and some folks would like to see me doing something different, I'm sure. But I hope that at the end of the day you can see why we do things this way, even if you don't agree with them. If nothing else, at the end of the day, please consider that YouTube only makes up about 25% of our operational budget on the best of months. That includes paying multiple editors, our artists, and hosting an ad-free front-end experience. The delta for that is something I make up for, and it's because I want this knowledge to be accessible. The price attached to that is something I just accepted a long time ago when I first started teaching in this industry. Why pay an organization working as a middleman hundreds and hundreds of dollars for a single class when you can just watch some free weekly uploads and take what is essentially a free 101 course that updates itself? That's the goal here. Not a content farm, not trying to sell you the latest guide or the hottest product, just information, and admittedly sometimes too much of my own opinions while I try and plant some trees. Anyways, I think that's gonna be it for me today, folks. It is muggy as all get out right now, and if I don't get moving soon, I'm gonna end up becoming one with the swamp. So until next time, see you nerds.